Greetings. My name is Bruce Venture. You probably know me from other works like, well, a bunch of stuff I can't mention here. But I've definitely been on some other large streaming platforms, tube sites, and paid sites as well. That being said, I've been in my industry for 9 years now, and I'm looking to step out of the shadows, so to speak, and into a more mainstream light. I'm not really sure what the main topic of these videos are going to be. I've been streaming for a while now on Live Me, on Instagram, and the Hub, different platforms, but I haven't really gotten as much mainstream limelight as I was hoping to get. Anyways, that being said, I'm going to start off by sharing some of my old lives. I traveled a lot. I've been all around the world doing what I do. But for the most part, I was very secretive about it all. I didn't do it for the gram. I never intended on making any YouTube videos. Most of my streams were done out of sheer boredom and even loneliness, because I am, for the most part, a solo traveler. I did have some counterparts along the way that adventured with me a bit and whatnot. But yeah, so we're gonna kick this thing off with all my old streams. Some of them are not the best quality, some of them are okay. I never really planned on posting them on YouTube, so I hope that I can get away with whatever I said in them. I don't really know. It's gonna be as much of a surprise to me as anyone else, because I've done so much in my life and experienced so many things that it's become apparent that I've forgotten quite a bit. I probably have forgotten more things than, well, most people have ever experienced. But we will do a little recap. We'll see if we can jar my memory. We can get some reminiscing going on, so to speak. And once we get to the point that my channel can be monetized, I'll definitely start making some new content for you. I have a trip coming up to South America. I'm actually in Colombia, Medellin right now. I'm going back to Las Vegas in a couple weeks, and that's where I've been living for a while. I'm a semi-professional gambler as well, so I'm sure there may someday be a channel or something of that nature devoted to that. But I think my first thing I'm going to do is start talking about travel, because I'm a veteran traveler. I've been to dozens of countries around the world. I travel light. I've shot movies and experienced a lot of different things in a lot of different places. I've been to, I'm driven back and forth across the United States twice. I've been to the UK, to France, to Norway, to Spain, Latvia, Romania, Hungary. I spent over a year in Hungary, in fact. I've been to Cyprus. I honestly can't even, probably just off the top of my head, name everywhere that I've been, but it's been a lot of places. And for the most part, nobody really knows. I did have my little fan base following me on Live Me, which I'm going to share some of those old streams with you guys right out the gate. But yeah, for the most part, I was very secretive. I went through a pretty nasty breakup at one point that left me a little paranoid. I wasn't really posting much about my locations or whereabouts. I've had to deal with stalkers, a lot of stalkers and weird shit like that. Hackers, people hacking my website. I mean, there's been a lot of different little things that have happened in the last couple of years that left me to basically not say nothing about anything that I was doing. So while I've been doing a lot of interesting things, they were all from my own personal experience and not in any way intended to be shared. That being said, I was quite lonely at times, traveling alone, and to fill that void, I was doing live streams and kind of got really close with some of my fans. Like, we really developed like a pretty personal relationship, as much so as you can do talking through your phone, broadcasting across the internet to places unknown. So yeah, we'll start off with kind of shedding some light on that little happenstance, and we'll just see where we go from there. I would appreciate any kind of feedback that y'all could give me regarding what you would like to see on the YouTube. Please don't ask me or request anything that you know can't be put on YouTube. I know that I've dabbled so to speak, in a lot of different things. But that is not the theme here, nor is that something that I want to be a theme here. I'm not really interested in talking about my other business, but I am interested in talking about the things that I learned by being in that business, by dealing with a lot of different people, by experiencing a lot of different personalities, and by traveling to a lot of different places. So with no further ado, I'm going to go ahead and start uploading right now, but please, by all means, whatever you want to see, let me know. I've considered doing a cooking channel. I have had to feed myself in many different countries. I've also learned to be a pretty efficient traveler. There's if you've ever seen, well, I'm not going to quote any movies. I don't really know what the rules are here on YouTube, but there was at least one film that I've seen that was quite travel themed and reminds me quite a lot of my own life, because I mean, well, I spent most of it on the road in the last, well, 3 or 4 years. I actually traveled for 14 months straight at one point, living in Airbnbs and hotels and whatnot. Previous to that, I was domesticated for a little under a year. And previous to that, I was also on the road for nearly a year as well. I've lived many different places. I'm from the Bay Area in California. I lived in LA for 6 years. I lived in Las Vegas for many years. I lived in Florida for a year. I spent a substantial amount of time in New York. And again, I lived in Budapest, and I've been all over the place. So I'm gonna share some of that with you. I'll probably just post my old streams in chronological order to begin with. If you like this stuff, make sure you share it with your friends. Subscribe to the channel, because while as I will be making new content, I will not be posting content aside from my old stuff until we can get to the monetization level. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much open to any tips from, if any of y'all are experienced YouTubers and want to shed some light on, you know, how this network works. I mean, the network that I am on the most is pretty similar, so I'm not completely foreign in that regard. I'm also pretty handy with the camera. I'm just filming this on my iPhone. I didn't bring anything with me to Colombia this time, but I'm a professional videographer as well, professional photographer, professional professional gambler, professional actor, professional webmaster. I definitely feel no shame in saying that I'm quite rightfully the jack of all trades in this sense. I'm also a pretty good cook, so I've considered doing a cooking show. That's all I got for now, you guys. I got to get on this uploading process, the hardest part of which is going to be adding beeps over all my swearing, because I definitely swear a bit. So consider this the warning. If there's any music or anything along the way, I will tell you that I do not have rights to anything, any music. I am not adding music to any of these videos, but some stuff was filmed in places where music was going on in the background or whatnot, and there's nothing I can really do about that. If YouTube ends up telling me that that's gonna really mess me up, then I will just not be able to use those videos. But yeah, pretty much aside from that, everything's my content, everything is owned by me. And if you search around on the internet a bit, I'm sure you can find some other interesting things that Bruce Venture did over the years. Anyways, here goes nothing.